Kenya's biggest conversation. This is the Situation Room. I am Trix Ingado. I am joining the folks on Spice FM, CT Mugandu Oko, Wanjiro Gikonyo, and Eric Latif. Today, we're taking a look at what's making headlines. And there's so much that we have focused on: the handshake, the coronavirus, understandably the very biggest stories being covered across board on the papers. But there's one that has, had tongues wagging in the country for the past few days, and that has to do with that alleged arms deal that fell through at the DP's office. On page 4 of the Daily Nation, we're told DP Ruto office staff set to be quizzed in Kenei murder probe. Of interest to detectives one staff member whom Kenei called to ask for help with recording a statement. And aside from that, there's I think the Standard is asking why investigations have not included the phone records of this individual, because as far as they know, deleting or formatting a phone does not, erase everything, because it's uploaded into the cloud today in this day and age.
Consider for a single second, you see, there is, you may have evidence that is sufficient to get someone charged, but is it sufficient to convict? See, now, if you were, say, investigating it, would you let the public know about everything that you have? The answer is no, you wouldn't.
Yeah.
You'd simply say certain things, but other things you'd keep under wraps. You've heard of situations. Remember the time in this country when there was this drug haul that beat all proportions. I remember having a conversation with a friend of mine then who understands these matters, and said the police had been following that for a long. They knew who the players were. They're just watching. When they pounced, they had all the information they needed. There were no ifs and buts, and there was no escaping. Now, when other greater powers within the system took over and things may not have gone the way they did, it isn't that they didn't know. It isn't that they didn't have the evidence. They did. Right. Security forces, intelligence forces don't always tell you what they know. Now, clearly, if there was a telephone conversation, there's a record of it somewhere.
Yes.
And they know this. And they even know with whom the individual was talking. I don't know why Kenyans keep getting surprised whenever they say that, someone's telephone was tapped. They don't need to tap your phone.
They don't tap anymore.
They don't need to.
Yeah.
These gadgets that we have, there's a mechanism that ensures that all our conversations are recorded somewhere.
It's called biodata.
Yes, it's a question of whether they want to use it or not. People have been arrested, murderers have been caught simply by using telephone records. So it's telling us that
there's a lot of drama on this Kenei and the arms deal. I think it's just too much drama.
I don't think it's drama.
It's just too much.
But why do you say it's drama?
Not a dramatic story?
It's drama because look, somebody was murdered according to the DCI. The DCI is conducting that investigation.
Yes.
Then there was a supposed arms deal that was being executed somewhere between DOD, the ODP. Look, that's where the drama is.
Why do we have all the evidence to actually point to it being a drama or not?
And we don't even need it.
No.
The point is we actually don't need all this drama.
I actually need it personally. What you're calling drama is what I call fact-finding. There were people who went into the DP's office.
You want to do the fact-finding?
Oh, no, it's being done on my behalf. Like the movies I watch, I don't produce them.
You don't have to produce.
I just watch them.
Just watch it. Yes. It unfolds for you.
I don't do anything. I just watch. Watch.
Wait for those guys to do their job. This thing on a daily basis, we're talking about, who did the Chesa, now again going.
A widow is claiming a Chesa took
different
view.
Yes.
My perspective is one concern around the killing of a bodyguard associated with the DP. When you begin to see these things, you begin to think about political type assassinations. And, it takes you back to the 90s, 80s, 90s. When these things are happening, because this is somebody very close to the DP, somebody's been killed, implying that it could be an inside. It just raises a lot of very uncomfortable questions. The other thing, of course, if you listen to what the DP is saying, he's talking about weaponization of the fight against graft and things like that being set up. Again, these are tactics from the 80s, 90s, right? Then you look at today's ruling by yesterday's ruling by Justice Odunga on Friday arrest or an abuse of power, taking us back to the dark days. The fact of the matter is we have a very progressive democratic constitution, and we have a government that is dictatorial, not in its intent, in its manner. that is taking us back to those days. So all of this, I think, is, and no, I'm not going to answer the question about should the evidence and all of that. The larger question is that we have surely lost ground, and we are moving back. And I think we are de facto under a dictatorship. We've lost ground.
And not to take us back
in
to
enjoying our democratic freedoms, in having, when you
using
begin
the context of an alleged fraud between one Kenyan former CS and some two people who are foreigners. How are we losing ground in enjoying our democratic freedoms?
The point I'm making,
in an alleged fraud case.
When your democratic freedoms are being rolled back, you will not be asked, you will not be notified. You will see signs.
You may not even know it's happening until it's full front and center.
So what I'm saying is, Kenyans, we need to wake up and smell the coffee. When you begin seeing political type assassinations, when you begin hearing the kind of dialogue going around that alleged or apparent assassination, when you begin to see the way the state is exercising its power in arresting individuals to coerce them and hold them, without grounds, we are then moving back. We are then having our rights that are provided in the Constitution being systematically undermined by the state. And the point I'm making is we are in a de facto dictatorship.
Njiro, would you put this in the same category as the Musando death and what have you? Because then it would
a one sentence answer.
Turn out.
Yeah, well, Musando, I think was I wouldn't
similar.
I don't have enough evidence and facts, but yes, it is taking us back when you have apparent state-sponsored eliminations. Then what are you saying? What are you saying?
So we're coming to the end of the hour where our friend Trix Ingado goes back and joins Michael Gitonga in the KTN newsroom. Before you head, let's hear the proverb of the day again. CT Muga.
The proverb is simply this: every lizard lies on their belly. We cannot tell which has a belly ache.
How does that help us?
Every lizard lies on its belly. We cannot tell which has a bellyache.
How does it help us?
Except
How does it
when
apply?
they're basking in the sun.
We have to wait to the end of the show to see how it's
She
going
has
to
every
help.
right to ask, and I will look at her and say, wait.
End of the show. But it's always a pleasure.
Can I give you a stab?
So City will be explaining to us what the meaning of this proverb at the end of the show at about 9:59 a.m. this morning. So stick around. This is a Situation Room right here on Spice FM. Trix Ingaro is heading back to join Michael Gitonga on KTN News, KTN Morning Express. Trix, we'll see you again tomorrow.
See you again. This was fun.
Yes, it was. Keep it right here on Spice FM. We'll be having more conversations between now and, of course, 10 o'clock. This is a Situation Room broadcasting from Nairobi to Mombasa, Kisumu, Nakuru, Eldoret, Nyeri, Malindi. Also live streaming, as we always do on this show, www.spicefm.co.ke. We're also on our social media platforms, Spice FM.